Now available in paperback and e-readers from SJS Direct. Isis, House of Isis. The goddess next door takes on a hustling Hotep high priestess in Harlem in this Afrocentric Isis series adventure. Pick up Isis, House of Isis at online booksellers today. In a previous video, I talked about black men and standards. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how a black man can start making efforts to start establishing standards for himself. Now, when it comes down to most black men these days, most black men come from single mother households. And because they come from single mother households or households with simp fathers or simp male figures, they learn at an early age that they have no value. And when they're in these households, they learn that the woman has the highest value because in our gynocentric society, black women are shown to have the highest value in the black community. They are presented as the de facto leaders of the black community. They are presented as the de facto authority figures in the black community. And the model is that many black men learn to submit to defer to her at an early age. And because these black men learn how to submit and defer to black women at an early age, they learn that they have a lower value than that black woman. And because they learn that they have a lower value than that black woman, they start basing their standards on her standards. And that's something that is a completely wrong concept for a man to have, because when you base your standards of value on her, you are lowering your worth as a man. And the first thing a man has to learn in order to start establishing standards for himself is not to define himself by this black woman. That's the first thing a black man has to learn in establishing standards for himself. He has to learn that his value is not based on her. His value is based on God, because God loved him to be created as a man, and he loves him enough to make him a man. That's the first thing you have to learn, is that God loves you as a man and that you have value as a man. And this is another thing that black men just don't understand. This is why they don't have standards, is that they have value as a man. And your value as a man is equal to that of that black woman. Because most black males who grow up in single mother households and in this gynocentric black community, they learn that the woman has a higher value than they do based on the way they've been socialized. Because in our black community, when it comes down to black men, they see black men presented as deadbeats, black men presented as losers, black men presented as bums, and that's all something socially engineered by white supremacists who will not allow black men to have an equal opportunity in things like the job market and the economy, and rigging the system, because what he does is he hires black women and gives them jobs and control over the economy so he can emasculate the black men in the community and he can control the economy. And that makes black men feel like they have a lower worth than this black woman, and that they have to go out here and please and appease the female authority figures in order to have any sort of worth and value. What you have to learn is that you have a value as a man because God created you as a man. Moreover, God made you to be a leader and an authority figure. So you have to learn that at an early age. And you can learn it even when you get older, but you have to learn that you have a value as a man, not based on any other concept other than God created you to be a man, and He created you because He loves you, and He created you to be a leader and an authority figure. And because you are supposed to be a leader and an authority figure, you are supposed to be the one who sets the tone for yourself. And because you set the tone for yourself, you're the one who's going to be establishing what standard is going to be what you're going to establish for what you're going to put up with as related to females and what you're going to put up with in life. And this is something many black boys never learn, and when they become black men, they wind up settling for far less instead of insisting on the best. And when it comes down to establishing standards for yourself, not only do you have to understand that you have a value as a man and you are a leader and authority figure, you have to understand the concept of the intangibles of manhood. Now, when it comes down to many black men, because there are no male figures in their community who are leaders and authority figures, and there are no fathers in the home, they never learn the intangibles of manhood. Now, when it comes down to the intangibles of manhood, these are things related to your internal character that you do not sacrifice and you do not compromise for anyone. When it comes down to a man who understands his intangibles of manhood, this is a man who understands there are certain things that are inside of him he is not going to compromise just for the attention or the approval of any female. He understands that if he's going to get involved with this female, she's going to meet his standard. He's not going to compromise his standard to win her attention, her favor, or approval. She's going to step up to his level because his standard is the one she needs to meet. Now, these intangibles of manhood, these are incredibly important. And these things relate to your dignity, which means you value yourself to say that you're not going to compromise anything to be with anyone or to associate with anyone. Your self-respect, where you say that you have a value as a man and a sense of worth, and that there are certain things you're not going to put up with from certain people. And then there's your integrity, which means the things that you are going to stand up for and the things that are important to you and that you are not going to compromise for. And then there is your strength of character, where you continue to have the resolve to stand up for what you're going to stand up for, because your intangibles have high value, and there's things that you should never, ever compromise for anyone in any given situation. This is the big problem with black men, is that they grow up, again, not learning what standards are, not learning what value is, and not learning that they have a worth and a value as a man. They define everything based on pleasing and appeasing the female, and because they do that, they have no standards. And a lot of these guys, they sit there and they think because the black woman is in control of everything, they have nothing to lose. No, you have a lot to lose when you go out here and you compromise your intangibles of manhood. Because when you compromise your intangibles of manhood, what you're doing to get the attention of that big butt woman is what you're doing is you're saying that you have a lower value as a man, you have a lower worth as a man, and that you can be bought and sold all for the attention of a female or a taste of that atomic waste from between her legs. And that's what you're saying to yourself as a man when you say you have nothing to lose. No, you have a lot to lose as a man. And when you compromise your intangibles of manhood, what you're saying is you have no value, you have no worth, and that these women can walk all over you and do whatever they want. And when men compromise their intangibles of manhood, this is how they get jammed up and get involved with women like hood rats, women like baby mamas, women of low character, because they are not setting a standard for what they want in life for themselves and a standard for what they want in a relationship with a woman. As the man, God made you to be the leader. He made you to be the head. And as the head, you have to establish your standards early on in your life. Now, this is something I learned to do again at 9 years old when I was watching an eyewitness news report on Channel 7 when I saw one of these guys kill another guy over one of these baby mamas. And that was the first standard I set for myself in saying that I will not get involved with single mothers. And I remember being 15 years old and one of these girls saying that she liked me, but then later on said to one of her friends she felt sorry for me. And when she said that to me, I said to myself, this woman does not respect me. And if this female cannot respect me, I am not going to get involved with her. Now, a lot of guys were telling me, oh, you should go talk to her. And I said, no, I'm not going to deal with her because the foundation that she has for a relationship with me is pity. And when you have a woman approaching you from a position of pity, that is a position of weakness for a man. If a woman cannot show you respect from minute one and cannot approach you from a position of respect from minute one, then you should not have a relationship with her. Because if you have a relationship with a woman who pities you, what's going to happen is you are lowering your value as a man, and you are letting that woman know that your standard is going to be lowered to her standard. And when I was in high school and I heard her say she felt sorry for me, I said, no, that is not going to be my standard. My standard is when I get involved with females, they're going to show me basic respect. And basic respect is my standard for getting involved with a woman. If you cannot show me basic respect where you're going to approach me from the position that you are going to see me on the same level I'm going to see you, then we're not going to even go to the table to even talk, because you're coming to me from a disrespectful position. And if you come to me from a disrespectful position and I accept a disrespectful position, then the whole relationship is going to start out falling apart from day one. Because when a woman pities you, what happens is pity eventually turns into contempt, and contempt is what women have when they cheat on you or they try to kill you. Because that's what happens when you get involved with females who say they feel sorry for you. And a lot of guys, because they want to get pity sex out of a woman, they'll go and get involved with that woman, not understanding you're lowering your value as a man. Your value as a man is more important than the attention of these females, the approval of these females, or that atomic waste reactor between that female's legs. Your value as a man, your intangibles of manhood, have far more value than anything these females have to offer. And when these females see you having high standards for yourself, what's going to happen is they are going to respect you. And this is something black men just don't understand as related to black women or any other woman, because when it comes down to black men have the lowest standards in society. And that's why many women of other races, the lowest tier women of these races, like low tier white women, low tier Hispanic women, low tier Asian women, and low tier other races of women, go out here and pursue black men, because they know if they cannot get with the lowest men in their communities, they know they can always find a black man to settle with, because a black man will sit there and he'll settle for substandard as his standard, and he'll settle for any substandard woman, all because he believes a woman is paying attention to him. And this is something that black men can easily change by taking a look inside of themselves and saying that they have value, they have worth, and they have worth and value because God made them and God loves them, and they have to say to themselves, I deserve the best, I deserve the best in society, and I do not have to settle for less. And this is something white supremacists try to teach black men in our culture, is that they have a lower value, but a black man has to say to himself, he has a value, he has a worth, and because he has a worth, he should not have to settle for somebody else's garbage. He should not have to settle for somebody's attitude. He should not have to settle for somebody's leftovers from other races. He should have a quality relationship with a quality woman of character, and he should be able to get a relationship with a woman of character. Now, when it comes down to a lot of these black men out here, they don't know how to have standards, and this is something, again, that they can learn to have, because when you have standards, what you are doing is you are setting a boundary for yourself, an imaginary line in the sand, and saying that I will not accept anything past this certain point. And when people see you having standards, they're going to know they cannot come to you with substandard things, and they can't try to pass stuff off onto you other than anything but their best. And this is the big problem with black men, is that they're thinking, oh, I have nothing to lose, but you have a lot more to lose when you compromise your standards and you compromise your intangibles of manhood. Because when you compromise your standards and you compromise your intangibles of manhood, what you are doing, again, is lowering your value as a man and letting people know that it's okay to abuse you, it's okay to disrespect you, it's okay for them to do whatever they want to you, and you should not accept that in your life. As a man, you don't accept somebody else's standard, you insist they meet your standard. And this is something black men have to learn how to do, is say to black women and even women of other races, is that I am not going to accept substandard from you. I am not going to accept you being a baby mama. I'm not going to accept you having a bad attitude. I'm not going to accept you being overweight. I am not going to accept you having poor hygiene. I am not going to accept you being rude to me. I am not going to accept you not coming in on time. I am not going to accept these things because I have a value as a man. And as a man, my time is precious. My time is something I can't get back. And because I value my time, I am not going to waste it with dealing with people who do not meet my standards and who do not respect me enough to step up to my level and meet my standards for my life, or my standards that I want to have for my quality of life. These are things that boys need to learn, but they're not being taught in our black communities because we don't have a lot of black fathers and we don't have a lot of black male figures in our community to teach these important lessons in our community, that a black man is the one who is the leader. The black man is the one who sets the tone, and because he is the leader and he's the one who sets the tone, the women see that man being a leader and setting a tone. And when they see him setting a tone and being an authority figure, what they're going to do is they're going to want to follow his lead, because they know that a black man who is a leader and authority figure under God's natural order, this man is the one who's going to set the standards. He's going to follow God's standard. And because he's following God's standard, they know that this man is going to establish a quality of life in their community that allows them to have a really solid and strong black community. Because in order for you to have a good, strong black community that has strong black families, you're going to need black men who understand what standards are, because a black man who has standards, he's the one who's going to put that line in the sand and that establishes a rule for his community and sets a tone for his community. And the women are going to help him do that, because as helpmeets and support, they understand that this is the culture that needs to be taught for them to maintain a quality of life of a high standard in their community. And black men have to learn what standards are, because when you understand what a standard is, you're not going to accept anything less than a black woman's best or any woman's best, because you understand there is more value to this woman than her big butt, and that you have more to lose by compromising for that big butt. Because if you have standards, you understand that there are things far more important than that atomic waste reactor between her legs, that attention she's giving you, because you understand that when your time is precious, you don't want to waste it with people who don't improve the quality of your life. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct Men's Issues books, like Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, Manginas, They Look Like Men But They Act Like Ladies, and The Misadventures of Captain Save-A-Ho, and Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, and Stop Simping in the Workplace, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.